hand if you've ever had a friend call you at the wrong time, like when you're about to sleep. You know the one. But if no one's coming to mind, perhaps you are that friend. You see their name, and of course you pick up. You listen, you comfort, you help them through it because that's what you do for the people you care about. And when the conversation ends, there's this warm, glowing feeling. You helped someone. You made a difference. But then it happens, again and again and again. Each time you lose a little more sleep. You fall further behind, and as the conversation stretches into the night, a thought starts to creep in. Am I actually helping them, or am I sacrificing too much of myself in the process? And that's where things get difficult because we're conditioned to think that helping means giving everything we've got, even if it drains us. We push through stress, exhaustion, and our own needs because we believe we should. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if by overcommitting, we're not truly helping anyone at all? Good evening, everyone. My name is Proud. Many of you may know me as a student here in Newton, but only some know me as a helper. Recently, I've been working with kids at an orphanage, teaching them English and, well, just hanging out with them. I love helping people, whether it's my friends, my family, or those in need. But as I'm growing up, though, I've realized something important. Sure, helping people is great, but where do we draw the line? At what point does giving stop becoming generous and start becoming self-destructive? That's what I want to talk about today. The balance. The balance between taking care of others and taking care of yourself. After all, you cannot pour with an empty cup. I had this one friend, the one who would always call just as I was about to sleep or walk into class. She'd pull me out and I'd always go with her. She was going through some deep personal issues, boyfriend problems, family drama, and I felt like I had to be there for her, you know? Sometimes all I did was sit with her in silence as she vented, but just being there seemed to help her enough. But it got to the point where it started affecting everything. My perfect attendance slipped away. My A's turned into B's. I even had dark circles under my eyes from all the sleepless nights and was barely able to concentrate in class. That was my mistake. I completely ignored the signs that my own body was giving me, all because I wanted to help my friend. But what are these signs exactly? Well, they're signals your body sends you when it feels as if you're under too much pressure. What's fascinating is that our brain has a kind of stress detector that sends out distress signals when we're feeling overwhelmed. This triggers what's called the fight or flight response, speeding up our heart rate, breathing rate, and putting us into overdrive. This is great when we're facing danger, but when stress becomes constant, like when we're always trying to help others at the expense of ourselves, our brain keeps us stuck at that heightened state. The stress detector keeps firing, releasing hormones like cortisol, which could lead to burnout if we don't take a step back. That's exactly what happened to me. I kept pushing through, kept trying to be there for her even though she wasn't even listening to me anymore. Even though my own body was giving me signals that I needed to take a step back. I didn't listen anyways. So I started asking myself, why do I do this? Why do we do this? Turns out, there's a science behind this. Actually, this need to help others is something we're wired for from a very young age. During 2012, 3 researchers, Akin, Hamlin, and Dunn, did a research on toddlers, where they gave them sweets and asked them to share with others. Turns out, the toddlers were actually happiest when they gave away their own sweets, even more so when they got one themselves. This picture shows the sequence of events, to when the toddler was first given the sweet, to when she decided to give it to a puppet. This shows us that the need to give is something we all feel deeply, even before we understand the concept of boundaries. But here's the thing. Just because we feel good about helping doesn't mean we should give them everything. And that's what I had to learn. Because one day, my parents had enough. They got in complaints time and time again from my teachers, and they couldn't take it anymore. I remember them saying, "Proud, why are you letting her do this? She's a bad influence." I defended her though. I shouted back even though deep down I knew they were right. After that fight, I lay in bed, completely drained. My body felt heavy, not physically, but from all the late nights and stress. I couldn't even find the energy to get up and do my homework because I'd given so much to everyone else that I had nothing left for myself. That was when I realized that if this kept going on, I'd have nothing left to give. Not to myself, not to anyone else. So I decided to find ways to strike a balance, and with help from a psychologist and discussions with many of my friends, I came up with 3 key strategies to help us navigate this journey on how to balance taking care of others and taking care of ourselves. First, you should start by reflecting on yourself. Something I learned is that thinking that you cannot help someone and thinking that you failed to help them are 2 completely different things. Not being able to help someone doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means there are limits to what you can do. Sometimes, no matter how much we want to help someone, we just don't have the power to fix everything. And that's okay. But when we start to feel like we failed to help them, that's when we know that it's more about us than it is about them. My psychologist helped me realize that this sense of failure often comes from within. It reflects our own need to feel good enough or useful by being there for other people. But we need to realize that failing to help someone doesn't mean we failed as a friend. It just means we're human. And recognizing that difference can help us be there in a healthier way for both ourselves and for the people we care about. Another important thing is to let them set their own goals. Sometimes we're so caught up at helping them solve their problems that we're forgetting one crucial thing. They need to be a part of their own healing process as well. Remember, it's not our job to carry the full weight of their struggles. So next time, don't just jump in and help them solve their problems. Take a step back and ask them, what do you want to do? And support them in getting there. Think of it like this. You're not the one driving the car. You're in the passenger seat while they navigate their journey. And when they hit bumps or detours, you're there to offer support. But let them make the final call on how to move forward. This way, they can learn to rely on themselves, and you can protect yourself from becoming overwhelmed by trying to solve all their problems. Finally, one of the most powerful tools we have is our ability to say no. Now, I know that it's not easy to decline requests or take a step back, but sometimes it's necessary for our own well-being. Take Taylor Swift, for example. During 2016, she faced a lot of media controversy, like the one between her and Kanye West. At the same time, fans were eager for her to release new music, but instead, Taylor Swift chose to take a step back from the spotlight for nearly a year. She chose to protect herself despite disappointing other people. By saying no, Taylor found a balance between her career and her own well-being, and is now back, stronger than ever. Now, back to the topic about my friend. Do you guys think we still hang out together? Well, actually, we still do, which confirms my belief that finding the balance is truly the key to helping others without hurting yourself. By using these 3 steps, I did continue to help my friend, but I helped her in a way that was healthy for me. I reflected on myself. I let her set her own goals, and sometimes I said no to her. And I hope that these 3 steps will help you find that same balance as well. I want to leave you with this message. Helping others is important, but what truly matters more is how we help. And when we finally find that balance between giving and keeping, that's when we'll truly achieve being in service without sacrifice. Thank you.